Welcome to the It's All About Missions podcast with Brady Van Winkle, as we endeavor to talk about missions and the need for the gospel all around the world. We hope we can help you find your place in world evangelism. And for questions or for more information, please check out it'sallaboutmissions.com. And now we hope you enjoy the show. Hello, and thank you for joining us on this week's episode of It's All About Missions Country of the Week Country Spotlight podcast. And this week we're going to a very familiar country. Most people may have heard of it or know about it. It's in Asia, and it's talked about quite a bit. It's been in the news quite a bit recently, and so we want you to know about it, but also pray for it, and that is the country of North Korea. And as I said, North Korea is a very well-known country, a population of around 25.5 million people. And there's a great need for the gospel there in the country of North Korea. And as you know, it's been under dictatorship for a really long time. And basically, 25.5 million people. The capital city is Pyongyang. It has a population of about 3.5 million, 4 million, right around there. And then there's obviously, it's hard to get statistics because you never know, and you can't just send someone in there, so you're relying on the statistics they give. There could be more people, there could be less people, we don't know. Just giving you the best statistics we have. Pyongyang, I'm hoping I'm saying that right, is the largest city there. The official language is Korean, and basically most of the country is going to be considered non-religious in a sense where they worship the emperor, the ruler, Kim Jong-un, and his father, his grandfather, his great-grandfather. They worship all of them, and it's important to them and everything like that. And there's not much freedom there. And there's not much work being done there because really, of all the countries in the world, it's one of probably the few countries in the world that we would consider to be a closed country. And it's really difficult to get in there. Really, if you're an American, wherever you go, it's really hard to get in there. They're very strict on what they allow in and what's allowed in there. And if you go in there, if you try anything, a lot of times you're in danger of your life. I do know I've heard of Christians that are there, that people are trying to smuggle things in, get things into them. We just need to pray for the country of North Korea. We need to pray that God open the doors there. Well, we need to pray that God will begin preparing someone now. Maybe they'll go to South Korea, they'll go to China, begin preparing their way so that when North Korea opens up, they can be the first ones to get in there. Because here's what's happened. One day, God will open the doors to North Korea for the gospel to get in there. One day, those doors will be open. But who will be ready first? And many times in the past, if you look at the history of when communism fell, when other things fell in different countries, different places, Christians, the true Christians, weren't the first ones in there. There were different kinds of false religions, false ideologies that rushed in there and got their message in there. But you know what? We need to pray that God begin raising up laborers that will prepare that God will begin preparing the way for them to go and take the gospel to the people of North Korea. You know, let's pray. Maybe there are pastors in North Korea. Let's pray that God will give them boldness. Let's pray for the Christians that God will give them boldness to share the gospel. But you know, let's pray that God will raise up laborers that will give their life to go and take the gospel to the people of North Korea, and that we can see North Korea to the gospel in this generation. You know, yes, it's always in the news. All kinds of bad things are happening. But you know, God could change that entire country. God can open the door, and God is in control. And let's pray that in this generation we can see North Korea open up for the gospel, and that we can see hundreds, if not thousands, of missionaries going there and taking the gospel and seeing churches planted. In this generation, the North Korean people will turn their eyes to Jesus Christ. Let's pray for the people of North Korea that God will work in them. I've heard some stories of the conditions there. The living conditions are not easy. And let's just pray for the people of North Korea that we can see North Korea reach with the gospel in this generation. But as I always say, not only should we be praying that North Korea be reached with the gospel in this generation and the world be reached with the gospel in this generation, but we'll be doing all that we can right where we are. What are you doing right now to help see the world reach the gospel in this generation? Are you sharing the gospel? Are you involved in your church? Are you witnessing to people? Are you praying for missionaries? Are you asking God what He'd have for you to do? And I ask you to consider giving your life to serve and take the gospel around the world somewhere, whether it's North Korea, whether it's wherever it is. Will you tell God, if you will send me, I will go. Because there is a great need. There's billions upon billions of people dying and going to hell. And God gave us a command to reach the world with the gospel. And I truly believe that God can and will reach the world with the gospel in this generation. But we should be praying and endeavoring to do all that we can so that we can see the world reach the gospel in this generation. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of It's All About Missions. And we'd like to ask you to do a couple things for us. The first thing I ask you to do, if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date when all of our new episodes drop. And that way, as a new episode comes, you'll get a notification that lets you know, hey, we've got a new episode of It's All About Missions. Second thing I ask you to do, if you haven't yet, please make sure to leave us a review. These reviews are very vital, and they help us out, and they help other people to see us in the podcast player of choice. They'll see us and see those reviews and say, hey, I want to check out this podcast. And lastly, one other thing I'd like you to do, why don't you share us with a friend, a family member, somebody you know, and say, hey, why don't you go over and check out It's All About Missions? missions. That'll help us grow our audience, help people to know more about It's All About Missions. And guess what? It'll help more people get involved in reaching the world with the gospel. I want to challenge you to know that the Bible, it's all about missions. And as a Christian, your life should be all about missions. And what are you going to do to impact the world with the gospel in this generation?